So you got your books?
I brought my stack. I'm prepared.
I got mine.
All
Connor?
ages books. We're ready to talk about
Connor,
kids
you got
books.
some kids books, right?
I got kids book.
What'd you get?
I brought Echoes, which I haven't read, but I know Josh you like, and I know there's a lot of kids in it.
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
No?
No.
All right. Well, I thought I'd go out. I tried That Yellow Bastard from Sin City. No?
Have you ever been around a kid?
Did you read the email?
Kids like colors, and there's a lot of yellow in this one. They like to see shiny stuff, so that's all right, fine. That doesn't work.
Well, this looks like
Well,
a
this one's
story.
it's fairy tales, Lost Girls.
Hey, welcome to an all-ages edition of iFanboy. My name is Ron Richards, and I'm here with Connor Kilpatrick.
Hi. Kids.
And Josh Flanagan.
Hi. We have done an all-ages show before, but we wanted to catch up again. I have better perspective on it.
Oh, you
I
do,
know
because
that.
now you have child.
Yeah, and you can see books now.
Yeah.
So I've got some hands-on experience. So do you.
I do, yeah. My nieces, I've been giving them books as they're getting older, getting a better understanding of what works, what doesn't work.
And you were once on a plane in front of some children.
They were
and that went
children
well.
around. They were in the vicinity.
But we feel as it's really important to check back on this topic at least once a year or so.
It's good to revisit.
Yeah, because, I mean, I got into reading comics as a kid, and we often criticize the comic industry as, like, we don't do enough for kids. And the thing is that there is a lot of good stuff for kids.
Yeah.
But before we get into our recommendations, we wanted to kind of talk about the concept of all ages books, because I feel as if it's gotten a little mangled over the past couple of years.
Well,
It's changed.
It's changed.
It's changed what that means.
Yeah, because historically, all ages books meant books for kids. Well, not historically. I mean, recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Historically, they just meant comics.
historically comics were all ages. Anybody could read it. But then, for some reason, in the past 3 or 4 years, all ages meant, oh, that's good for kids.
Right.
And it doesn't have to mean that.
No.
It should mean
Yeah.
all ages.
Exactly.
If it's for kids, it should be called
Kids.
books.
Yeah, exactly.
All ages literally means 10 to 100. All of them.
And I think today we have some good examples of kids' books
Yeah.
and all ages books.
Also for different sort of age levels, and that's important. Like, you can do something for everybody, just like books or TV shows. There are TV shows for kids, and it's okay to say that. For some reason, I think they thought if they made comics that only kids bought, they wouldn't sell enough of them. So
Right.
we have to make it appeal to everybody. And when you try to be appealing to everybody, you will fail.
Well, I mean, the best example...
Sometimes.
No, it's the opposite, actually. When they made them for everyone, they sold a lot. When they made them all for adults, they didn't sell anymore.
True.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the best example, not in the comics medium, but in like television and movies, are the Muppets.
Yep.
In that Muppets are often lumped as kids' movies and TV shows. But if you go back and watch the Muppet Show or watch the Muppet
was
movies,
for adults and kids.
which I've done a lot recently, my nieces can't get enough of it.
Sure.
No, seriously, and there are jokes in those movies and on that show that are totally for us.
No,
that are
it's
totally
absolutely-
adult aimed.
That's, Pixar movies is the same
Yeah,
story.
exactly,
It's another one.
You can get it at many levels.
Yeah, so
it's successful.
So I mean, so while we're gonna look at some littler kids books, which are truly kids books. I mean, I can't, but then also some of the books later on the show are kind of more all ages, can be enjoyed by everyone. In fact, all the books I'm talking about, I've enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
So
I think that one of the critical component here is there are books for kids. The idea that there are no books for kids is wrong.
Is wrong, yeah.
They exist. Now, the other component here is that, well, retailers in the direct market, because these are the only, they carry them in some bookstores, the ones that haven't shut down.
They're usually segregated, in some
Somewhere.
section. Yeah.
Now,
if they're carried at all.
Now, I happen to go to a shop where all the kids' books are right in the front. As soon as you walk in, there's a whole section, a spinner rack,
That's
a couple
great.
of things. Like, they know kids are going to come in here, right here. There's stuffed animals here, and Angry Birds toys and stuff like that. Right. That's the way they know that the shop that you go to.
And candy? Is there candy?
Yeah, that's what you give them, sweet candy.
That's how you get kids to do stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Candy?
Okay.
I'm not making the joke.
no, you're not.
But like the shop you go to, like all the kids'
it's
books
right
are
in
at the
front.
front,
You walk
and
in the
that
front.
works from retailers,
Yep.
from what I can tell. But if you go back, and we want to talk about very briefly, Thor: The Mighty Avenger. That was an all ages book that no one knew what to do with. Retailers underordered it. They stuck it in the bag. They put it somewhere, and then no one bought it.
Right.
So if you put it with the kids' books, regular comic fans aren't going to buy it. But probably kids, when they go to the rack, are not going to go right to Thor: The Mighty Avenger.
Yeah.
Because it looked a little older. And,
So it got lost in that no man's land.
Yeah. So
Because, again, the industry doesn't know how to handle all ages books anymore.
Right.
They don't. Yeah, exactly.
When 20 years ago, Thor: The Mighty Avenger would have just been Thor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
People would have bought
It's true. And I just think that, again, like, it depends on retailers. If you're a retailer and you want to go after that market, you've got to work
I was surprised
at
even
it.
my retailer, who was very progressive, had it in the kids section.
Yeah.
I was like, why don't you put this
And
with
meanwhile,
it?
my retailer, who's just as progressive, had it in the issues, the regular books.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
Again, there's no consensus on how to deal with these all ages books.
yeah, slip through the cracks.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of these books.
All right, so let's get so if you've got a little one, a wee one.
I have a little kid.
Yeah.
I haven't told you guys.
Oh, I gotta pick him up actually.
Suddenly this show's taking a turn.
You're supposed to swear on this.
If I have a little kid, what book's good for that little kid?
When Oni announced that they were going to do Yo Gabba Gabba books, I didn't know what this fever dream haze was. But now I'm quite familiar with the antics
I can tell you what it is. It's very
of
thick
Proby
pages.
Fufa
Yep.
and the DJ Lance Rock.
Yep.
It's very thick pages.
Yeah, these are
Which
actually
is great. They're like board books, right?
Exactly. They're done. The issues, the
Really
single
smart.
issues, which are $8, are done as board books, so that they'll live. Because if you have a little kid, you'll know that actual pages don't last very long.
Now, question. Now, what I've seen in my store when kids run into the kids section is they pick a book and they say, I want. Then the parent goes, $8. Now, is that a good price for an all-age book or
Well,
not?
if you compare this to a book that you would go into, like, just a regular kids bookstore section, yeah, because I have a bunch of these little board books, those little, I forget what her name is, but she does the Hippo book and the Sandra something.
Sandra Hope.
No, I can't think of what it is. It doesn't matter. But they're all like $6, $7 anyway, so it's actually consistent with that. It's actually much bigger and more colorful. And I know that this is a licensed property, so there's like whether you want that or not. But Yo Gabba Gabba is kind of huge. It's this very strange show that's focused on dancing and music, and these very colorful characters, and it's very positive, and it's got little life lessons in it. But as you can see, there's 2-3 panels a page. They're really big and colorful. It's very simple,
it's for young kids.
Well, it's genius of Oni to do the board book program.
Yeah.
So, because
Absolutely. I got it, and I was like, I hope this. I was like, it's a board book. That's exactly right.
Because if you look at this one, this is the Yo Gabba Gabba comic book time, and this, like, if you look at the names associated with this book, I mean,
Yes.
Mike Allred, Philip Bond, Sarah Dyer, like Evan Dorkin, really good people.
Yeah.
It's a little more progressive, or not progressive, but advanced than that book. But it's pages.
This
and
is
it's
like
more
the
book.
deluxe edition of the whole thing.
Yeah.
This
But it's still beautiful.
This one's done by Chris Eliopoulos, the other one.
Yeah, not
It's the other one.
Lick.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a weird
This is like
show.
being on LSD.
Yeah,
It's a very strange show.
And he's licking a ball.
But
And he goes,
but so now does your kid like them? Can you read them?
He picks these up and looks at them a lot. He watches a lot. He likes Yo Gabba Gabba a lot.
Yeah.
This one I haven't given him yet because it's
too-
This
he'll
one's more
rip it
your
up.
collection. This is up on the shelf, right? It's
No, but
well,
the
because
board
you're
books,
a fan now, so that's
Yeah.
for you.
it's tested. It's a strange
One
show.
for you, one for Dad.
I really can't get over how I can't tell you how strange the show is. Another book that he really likes. My son's 18 months older at the time.
At the time
When we were
of...
talking
It's only
about
18
this,
months
but
once.
well, it always changed. I
You're
was
only
like,
18 months
I was
once.
checking- It was about a year and a half.
When do you
How's that?
stop with the months?
Yeah.
2?
2.
No, like
No, I
seven.
think 18
Seven.
months.
7?
Yeah.
My kid's 47 months.
Huge difference. Huge difference. This is. I'm moving on.
He's about 96 months.
This is T-Runt. It's by Derek McCullough and Jimmy Robinson. Now, you might know those names from comics that have nothing to do with a book like
Stagger Lee.
Stagger Lee.
Yep.
And
Jimmy Robinson's his bomb queen.
Yeah. But they have kids, and they wanted to go do a kids book, and this is...
They've been doing a bunch of these at Image.
Yeah, and
Like,
Shadowline does a bunch of them. We're going to have another one to talk about in a minute. This is a book that it's a straight up kids book. It's not a comic book. It's like picture and illustration and text, but not word balloons and things like that. And it's about growing up and getting bigger and being smaller and just that sort of little lesson of it. And I've been reading this to my kid off and on. Like, he really liked the pictures for a while. I didn't know what we were talking about, and then he got bored with it. And then recently it came back, so I've read this 140 times.
Nice.
I read it a lot. It's a really fun book. It's just a great. It's funny because it's one of those ones that's got dinosaurs in it, so it's a lot of fun. Kids would like it, but because it's an image book, like, I don't know, you have to go to a comic shop to get it, or a bookstore.
Do they not sell through bookstores?
They are.
They do,
get
but,
into, it's the challenge.
Yeah, and it's buried among the other...
The million other
Yeah,
kids' books?
exactly.
Yeah.
The brands.
Yeah.
As we're getting a little older, is grade 3-ish. This is Dear Dracula from Shadowline, also Image, by writer Josh Williamson and artist Vincent Vinny I think they should have just gone with one name. Navarra. This is about a little boy who writes a letter to Dracula, and he
we're getting
meets
dark
him.
now.
Sort of, and he finds
Count Dracula, or is it Cookie?
No, it's like full on like Dracula in a tuxedo, breed, and he finds out that Dracula doesn't like to eat pizza; he likes to drink blood, and he's like, "Ew, gross!"
It's a little chilling.
But then there's these sort of fun comparisons to the life of a little kid and the life of Dracula, and
that's a little dark for kids.
It's a little bit, but it's that thing when you start to get older. 9, 10, 11, like, a little bit of darkness is kind of good. If you look in the Pixar movies and things like that, like, Finding Nemo's scary.
New York Comic Con coming your way. Comics, games, movies, TV, and anime. Chapter NYC, that's where you wanna be. New York Comic Con coming at the party. New York Comic Con, everything one. New York Comic Con coming at the party. New York Comic Con, everything one. New York Comic Con. Yeah! October 13th through 16th. Visit NewYorkComicCon.com for tickets. Thank you!
Your nieces read comics.
Well, yeah. Well, so my nieces, I have 2 nieces, one's 8 and one's 5, and the 8-year-old,
I've been 8 now.
Yeah, she's 8. Yeah,
let's not talk about.
And I've been giving her Tiny Titans since she was like 4, and eats them up, loves them, fantastic. Only recently has my 5-year-old niece gotten into the game, and because I've filled a shelf of all stuff like that. And what I like is I just want to. My whole plan was to put stuff there and see what happens. And I was delighted when I recently came home recently, and she would not stop talking about Fraggle Rock.
That's cool.
They got into the Muppets. They started watching the Muppet shows and stuff like that, and started watching Fraggle Rock. And I had brought home this beautiful hardcover from Archaia, the Fraggle Rock book, the first Fraggle Rock book that Archaia did, with a whole bunch of creators, like Katie Cook and Jeffrey Brown and Sam Humphries and a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't home more than 5 minutes, and she dragged me to the shelf and pulled it and like is showing me stuff in it. And she's 5. So which I think goes to your point where this has got a little darkness. Yeah. It's a little harder, but a 5-year-old, she's totally on board with it. So Fraggle Rock, again, it's like a licensed property, a little more old, but a little aged licensed property. But the DVDs are out there; you can get your kids into it, and it's a way to move them up along the ladder.
It's also on Netflix Instant.
Yeah, Netflix Instant. So there you go. So Fraggle Rock is very good
that way.
So
I never watched the show, but the song is in my head.
Fraggle Rock,
which is going to be in the head for the rest. I'm just going to be over here with the song in my head.
Now you guys know Scott.
Now, postscript. I hated Fraggle Rock as a kid.
I never watched it.
Well, because it was on HBO, and we didn't have it,
yeah.
but kids did have it. So I had this whole animosity towards it because I didn't have it. Go ahead. So
we all know Scott Chantler. He's done a couple of graphic novels, historical fiction, things like that.
Northwest Passage.
Yeah,
he's great.
He also does these all ages books. For Kids Can Press, which are like real books. Yeah. But they're in the comic style, and they're with his really wonderful cartooning style. This is a series of books, the Three Thieves books, and the first one is The Tower of Treasure. I think there are 2 out. The second one just came out. They're fully colored, and they're sort of fantasy adventure stories. If you read comics, like Skull Kickers, it's like that, but
for kids.
Yeah, for like grade 4 and up, I guess. Sort of after that, but this is actually an all age. Like I could read this.
Yeah,
I am reading this,
and that's the whole thing. I mean, like once we got through the YO GABBA GABBA stuff, although I do kind of want to read the hardcover or the comic book one. Fraggle Rock one I read because it's got all great graders. We like Scott Chantler. Another one of my favorite writers. I'm sure you guys, Brian Michael Bendis and Mike Oeming, who we all know from Powers. They finally put their money where their mouth was in terms of doing comics for everybody in all ages, and came out with TAKIO.
Big success.
Which is a very big success. The idea generated from Bendis' daughter pitched him the story. I interviewed him when this came out, and she said she had some comic book ideas, so she pitched him. And first she pitched him Narnia, and then he had to explain copyright. And then she pitched him this idea of 2 sisters who get powers. And after he researched to make sure she wasn't ripping off a Disney show, they made the graphic novel. And this got the test, the true test, which is both Jim, a writer on our site, and myself and my nieces gave it to our little ones and ate it up. I mean, my nieces were running around the house for 3 days afterwards, yelling TAKIO and doing the powers and stuff like that, and it completely got what was going on with it. Sat down and read it. Amelia went and read it by herself. Still does.
I hope they don't accidentally pick up an issue of Powers.
Yeah, I know.
This looks just like
but
but
too much.
But was a little, but this is actually good because this is a good entryway into superheroes if you want to get your kid into superheroes, because it's about two girls who get powers and decide to become superheroes.
You should have told people at the beginning that the show isn't actually for kids.
Oops. But
it's for parents,
and it looks beautiful, and I read it myself, enjoyed it. And,
well, again, we said at the beginning, the true test of the all ages book is it's got to be for all ages. Otherwise, it's a kids book.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to enjoy it as much as Amelia's going to be able to enjoy it.
Exactly.
And otherwise, it's not a successful all ages book.
Exactly. And one recent all ages book that we've all been enjoying has been REED GUNTHER.
I love REED GUNTHER. It's. I think it's for a little bit older kids. There's just a slight touch of risqueness, which is good. I think
you
can get away with that just a little bit of it.
You've got this basically cowboy REED GUNTHER. He's going through the West, and his best friend is a bear. I forget what the bear's name is.
BJ. No,
that would be a different kind of thing.
BJ and the Bear.
This is
that wasn't dirty. That wasn't dirty.
I know.
All right.
We were just dated, that's all.
Well,
this is a completely fun comic book, done in the style, this sort of like light animated kind of style. I really like comics like this because I feel a lot of comics should look like
this. They should just be fun. And
here's the thing, bears would kill you. If you had a best friend bear.
Well, there's fantasy. There's these sort of mauloid things. His bear's name is Sterling. I forgot. And Sterling is sort of
that's a little more legitimacy.
He's sort of semi-sentient, and but he's Chewbacca, is what he is. Right?
Yeah.
It's just a totally fun book, and he's stumbling into adventures and bad guys trying to do things. And there's an ongoing story sort of going on, and this is going to be a book, a trade that you can get, and
it's going to be a good one to have.
People.
Especially if you want to get him into westerns.
It's REED GUNTHER in a stalactite spot.
It's got that old comic kind of enthusiasm, which is good.
But with the modern, it doesn't feel old.
And then finally, a book that we've talked a lot about previously in the past, and that recently won the Eisner for Best Graphic Novel of 2010. Return of the Dapper Men by Jim McCann and Janet Leigh. Total all ages. You can enjoy this. Your significant other can enjoy it. Your kids can enjoy it. Total fairy tale. It's got the little ribbon. So that's key. That's key in your good fairy tale. But very fairy tale-esque kind of world in a land where there are no parents and just kids live, and time has stopped. And then all of a sudden, these men in derbies, these very dapper men, come down and they set the world right and get time moving again. And it's about kind of growing up and moving on. And I read this with my nieces; they loved it.
This is the definite all ages one for your goth emo tweens or your younger kids who like the fantasy or Ron.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, again, then we talked about it, if comics want to write themselves financially, they need to be more of these books.
Yeah, exactly.
They need to be able to get this. Your nieces read superhero comics now because of all these other comics you gave them. And if we don't cater to kids, there will be no replenishment of the audience.
Exactly.
So
wow, I feel like we should have motivational music playing.
Well, you know what?
It's true.
If you're a parent, these are a bunch of suggestions. If you've ever wondered about, comics you can give your kids, because the fact is most of my comics they should be under a lock. Like they'll say, oh, donate your old comics to none of mine are good for kids.
I don't even have
that.
Kids and my comics under a lock, but that's for other reasons. But so we're gonna list all these out on iFanboy.com on our website, so you can get links to go buy them on Amazon, whatever. But if you have kids and there are books that you've been enjoying reading together, or all ages books you're enjoying, share them in the comments, let everyone know. Go to iFanboy.com where you can do that on our lovely website.
And if you have more suggestions, you can email us at contact@ifanboy.com or call our voicemail line at 88 fanboys 3262697. What happened?
I don't know. At least he didn't say the car.
There's the Fraggle Rock song in my head.
Down Fraggle Rock.
Down Fraggle Rock.
And finally,
there's twitter.com/ifanboy, facebook.com/ifanboy. You know what this is? These are his magic ball friends. Let's say hi to our magic ball friends, and I can't help but laugh.
You know what's happening? The people behind the show are laughing all the way to the bank.
He's licking his magic ball.
Well, the sad thing is that this is the Teletubbies of this decade.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And at least this is way better than Teletubbies.
Yeah, because the shins were on it.
it?
Yeah, well, yeah. No, it is. It is. Yeah.
No, it is.
Teletubbies were.
It's got that thing where it's got.
I always like Blue's Clues.
I love Blue's Clues.
Blue's Clues is great.
Yeah,
because we are gonna play Blue's Clues.
You really sort of get into it after a while.
Yeah, you do. No.
And then they replace Steve.
Yeah,
and I'm like.
Yeah.
So here's the
well, we used to watch senior year of college Blue's Clues at 9 a.m. before we went to class. We'd be sitting there like, everyone's groggy, and we'd be like, it's right there. Like, no.
See, the thing is, he knew Steve was a deviant. Yeah. He had to be.
He's in a band.
To deal with that every day, he had to go home and just midgets and donkeys.
It's actually sort of so.
Tell me.
It starts off like it starts. I'm saying.
I mean, it's play.
I mean,
it's role play.
it starts off as.
Yeah.
We're not using any of this.